This is day 396 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. I'd like to sponsor upcoming shir of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Please contact me directly. It would be greatly appreciated. Tonight's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is sponsored by Reb John Abraham in honor of Shibona Beis HaMikdash, במהרה בימינו. Maybe Votzoi Shiva Sarbatamos, and he sponsored it on Shiva Sarbatamos, and it has come about speedily in our time, because we certainly need it. So tonight we are doing Siman Reish Ayin Aleph Vav. So Reish Ayin Aleph Yud Beis, and of course we're talking about Kiddush and Kiddush Al Yain, whether it's the Raisa to Rabbanan. So I'm starting with Vav. When can men and women be moti to each other? If they both daven, so they're both Rabbanans now. When they both the Chiyum Shavah, because then they're both the Raisas. And Mechad is Palel, if one of them daven, Hashem L'Spal, one of them not daven, and Mispal Motzi Yidei Chova, Shemish Lo Yispal. The person who daven, who's only Chayv D'Rabbanan, can't be Motzi the person who's Chayv D'Raisa, who didn't daven yet. Dasa Poskim in a Torah, Yotzi Midfilo, when the Poskim hold the Midoraisa Yotzi with davening. In K, Mishis Pal Chivo Raki Rabbanan. So that's the case. I mean, because the person already davened, the scheme is only Rabbanan. Misha Lo Yispal, person didn't daven, the Chivo Minat Torah. His obligation is Midoraisa. V'lo the Rabbanan. Mavik D'Raisa. The Rabbanan can't come and be exempted D'Raisa. But according to this, we don't find our hands and feet. In other words, we are completely lost. In all families, Baal Bayis makes Kiddush, and he's motzi his wife and his daughters-in-law, even though they didn't daven. In many places, women don't daven Friday nights. But the truth is, it's not a question, because that's only by Birchas Hanen and Birchas Hamazon, where you can't be motzi somebody unless you actually are going to have that hana or had that hana. Logan Birchas HaMitzvos. It's not the case with Birchas Mitzvos. Where one can be motzi his fellow, even already yotze already. The Chayes Ravim Zeh Bozeh. All Jews are responsible for other Jews' mitzvahs. He says so. Per Gimel Roshana. Ken ish v'isha yicholim lotzi zeh zeh b'chol gavnei. The man and women can be motzi each other because of arvus. V'yesh misha roitz salam ad isha ina b'chal arvus. Arvus. There's the famous Dogum Yervava, Yehuda, who says that women is not included in Kois Ravim Zelazet, which will throw a big monkey wrench obviously into women being motzi men. For Dover Tamur, this is astonishing. For Russia, Kasas Farazu, the Russia which is the origin of that svara, Bereish Per Gimel the Brachos, and El B'mitzvah Shein Isha Shaychus B'zeh, Hayin Sham. It's only referring to a mitzvah to which a woman is not shaykh, such as perhaps mitzvah Seisha Man Grama, where there's no such thing as Zachar v'Sham are connected together. Aval Bamashi Mechuyeves, but that which is obligated, that which is obligated, Shavah Hi Legamrei Leish. She's equivalent completely to a man. Chen Kosav, Egon Rekibeko, perhaps the most famous Rabbi Kiva. That's the beginning of Shulchan Aruch Ubet Vav, that was in brackets, Rabbi Kiva. Zayin, sorry. Davar Pashu, it's clear, Sha'katan ain't a motzi esagolo. A katan can't be motzi esagolo, as a isha, or a woman. So adult man or woman. And even if it was third, I'm sorry, I skipped. It's not required. Even if he was 13 years old, we don't know for sure that he has the that he has the hairs which identify him as a mature adult. You can't be motzi woman who hasn't davened, because woman is chayv d'oraisa and he's only chayv d'rabbanan. As he explains, and by d'oraisa we don't say that as a chazaka that he was maybe simonim. My bar mitzvah was Shabbos Parsha Zachar, and normally they don't let a katan read Shabbos the Haftarah for Parsha Zachar for that reason. They don't let a bar mitzvah. They Parsha Zachar for that reason, because we don't say, because since Parsha Zachar might be the Raisa, so it's a chazaka that the katan was maybe simonim. Happened to have my mitzvah in the shul where they were makbid on that, so I did learn Parsha Zachar, the Parsha and Haftarah. But a lot of people place our makbid on this. Terms of Edus can't rely on the fact that maybe as a chazak he has simanim in order to testify in court. Actually, but if she davened, and this he says not that since he's Rabbanan, because obviously the chiyuv mishum chinuch which he has, according to many Rishonim, it's an independent chiyuv on him, but according to other Rishonim, it's only chiyuv on his parents. So he says rather it's because that in the Rabbanan we rely on this chazaka that he has simanim. Hi, there are those who hold the kiddush on the kaisis doraisa, or like all the Ashkenazic Rishonim we saw. For this, to this extent, we rely on those who hold that midoraisa, it's enough to daven. Because there's also perhaps a sofek to be meku and say that this chazaka that he was maybe shtei soros does apply even to doraisa. There was a couple of maramakoimas here in the brackets, which we won't have to get into because it's maramakoimas. In the Mishnah Berurah, bring down the sheet according to Rambam we yotzi in davening. So according to this, a cousin who was magil chinuch, he can be mitzvah god on kiddush if the god daven already. Okay, that's going with the assumption that chinuch is independent obligation, because chinuch is just not, it's not an independent obligation, but rather just an obligation on the parents. That wouldn't apply. But l'chadchila you should be take into account the place can hold that you're not yotzi with davening, and therefore you should not be yotzi kiddush with a katan who's magil chinuch. And even if the person who's listening says word for word with the katan, it's appropriate to refrain from this unless you yourself, the person saying word for word, have in front of you bread or wine at the time of kiddush. So that basically make your own kiddush. The Sharatzion says if the katan daven, he can't be. This is a very famous Sharatzion. The katan daven already, he can't be motzi somebody who. He can't motzi somebody a gadol who didn't who davened because he's a trade rabbanan, and the gadol is a chad rabbanan. The katan has a double rabbinic obligation. In other words, tartil reusa, two strikes. It's both the katan and he already davened, so it's a double rabbanan. Whereas the gadol who already davened, he owns only a chad rabbanan. And this is the famous opinion that a trade rabbanan can't be motzi chad rabbanan, but Yinzan the Chai Adam argues, and then it says he can. Again, my bar mitzvah drasha was about this, but it was way too long ago to remember exactly what I said. In the name of my grandfather's, that's out. My grandfather wrote bar mitzvah drasha for one of my uncles, and then it was recycled to my generation. Okay. That's next to what is not so relevant. Let's go on to Ches. V'day yishno delamisha sover el b'sim kuf tzad gimel. Those who hold before and sim kuf tzad gimel gam b'loshen hakodesh and yochol tzil achem elenkein maybe in loshen. That even in Hebrew you can't be motzi others unless you understand what the others understand what you are saying. Avok she'enu mevim the others do not understand enu yotzei elenkein or ma'achrov mila b'mila. You don't fulfill the obligation unless you say word for word. Chagavna, if you say word for word. But even if you don't understand, you fulfill the obligation. You can, honey, no, she did on our women. To burn any yodos, beloshin, and no yodos, beloshin, most of them don't know Hebrew. And none yodos with kiddush, and can omros, mila, b'mila, achre makadish. They don't say kiddush, they have to say word for word with the makadish. We never found such a thing, even when we don't understand. Rashi. But we explain the primary halachas like Rashi, B'lashon HaKodesh, Atmi She'eno Mevin, Yotzei B'Shmir Ba'alma. If it's in Hebrew, even a person who understands is Yotzei just by listening. The minhag is evidence for our position, says Arukh HaShulchan Ayin Sham. Shabbat says, nevertheless, it's best that a person who does not understand Hebrew should repeat after Mekadesh Mila b'Mila silently if they can. That's according to the Yotzei, according to all the poskim. Test, Isa B'Psachim. The honor of the day is more important than the honor of the night. Baby doesn't have so much wine or megadim or delicacies. She has for both meals. Covered yom kodim. The honor of the day it comes first. The pleasures of Shabbos are more pertinent to the day and to the night. For Isi the Marshal, Shekore Tagara Olam. The Marshal is upset on the Welt. Shochlin Dagim B'Leil Shabbos to eat gefilte fish Friday night, not Shabbos morning. It came to cover Yom Kodim, since the honor of the day is superior. Should leave the fish to Shabbos morning. It said gefilte fish automatically, but it just says fish, not gefilte fish. He had his gefilte fish Shabbos morning. And he was 19 years old. It's chus. So the Lechem Pirshu Rashi, the Rashbam, Lian Yain Arbei Uminim Megodim which Kosavnu. That's why you want to see Lamed Chus on those people who eat fish at night. The Rashi and Rashbam say in terms of a lot of wine and delicacies, as we wrote, right? Why they write Minim Megodim? They could just write good food, right? The Minim Megodim are peros. Minim Megodim usually means fruit, confections. Like it says, pre Megodim. Even a famous sefer, but also is Eliyah Paskin, Shir. Right? So the fruit of the fancy fruit. So Arukh HaShulchan gives his own svara here. Food which you can't have at day like in the night. Evidently they ate the gefilte fish hot. Or soup or hot meat. If you leave it tomorrow, they're going to get ruined. From the not from the previous reason, but from the previous taste. The taste will not be the same, right? That's the whole shot in why something is called ibur tzura. It lost its form if it's left overnight by korbanos, because not because it can't eat it, but the taste is a bit off. It's changed. So it's partial that we shouldn't not refrain from eating at night. The food is going to taste better at night because it's not possible that we won't have any left over for tomorrow. Because that's the case, we should not eat wheat bread at night. Because the bread is better at night, fresher, than during the day. So the Torah did not command us not to eat wheat at night. I guess for your choice, wheat and barley, or wheat and rye, probably, not barley. Then you should eat the wheat tomorrow deliberately. Because if you eat it now, you won't have the same thing tomorrow. But rather, you eat it when it tastes the best. That's where they specifically spoke about Rashi and Rashbam, wine and fruit. They won't get ruined by tomorrow. That's where the honor of the day takes precedence. Therefore, hot fish, which people like better than cold fish. You can't have that during the day. So eat the hot fish at night. So too, good hot soup. And in order to compensate for that, we leave insulated in the oven until tomorrow. Food which has to be really shrivel up. And Holy Nation does the right thing. And now we throw in something really holy in the brackets. This the Zohar says, you have to arrange your table at night with bread and with food. Even during the day of Shabbos as well. Because what does it mean even during the day? The better arrangement should be during the day. But based on what we wrote, says Arukh HaShulchan, this is what it means. You should use at night the bread and mizonos, specifically cake, not mizonos meaning foodstuffs, a cake. Right? Even though the bread and cake of the night are better than the day because they're still warm or fresh. I would say the Biyom HaShabbos came the Ifshar Kishel Laila. Low side I might say, you know what? Since I can't do the equivalent tomorrow, the cake and bread will not be as good tomorrow as they are tonight. I shouldn't do cake and bread tonight either, because then I'm giving cover to the nighttime over the daytime. And that's not right. So therefore, I would have said, low side of cloud, don't use these food subs at all. But eat something which will allow you to upgrade in the morning. Kamasha has tell you the Chumash that the yochel lachin tachin, whatever you prepare, tastes good at the right time. Do it. Okay. Yud. The covered yom kodim, that which covered yom is superior. That is about other things having to do with the meal. Avlim elo well because achad yain. He only has 1 cup of wine. Kiddush alayla kodem sujum. Kiddush of night takes preference. Kiddush during the day. Ikra kiddush b'layla, which is after the primary kiddush is at night. Doesn't have enough wherewithal to prepare wine for Kiddush and the needs of the meal, for the honor of the night and the honor of the day. And for Kiddush Hayom, wine for Kiddush night takes precedence. More than for preparing a meal, and more than buying wine, the Kiddush Hayom for the next day's Kiddush. But you know what? Even before wine comes bread. So a person shouldn't be famished. The chol and I can eat to fulfill the 3 meals. Says also it seems that for the kiddush of daytime takes preference over all other foodstuffs except for bread. Those who say the those who say it's possible that the cover of the daytime, the delicacies of the daytime, are superior in preference to the kiddush of the daytime. The kiddush in there covered because the kiddush of Friday of Shabbos morning is because of honor and not because it's not intrinsic. But the primary is what we said, that the kiddush, even the kiddush of the day, comes before the other tzarchei sud except for bread. It's more of a cover for the day to focus on good wine over the rest of the needs of the meal, if you have only a choice. It says, the rabbi writes away, and also the rabbi is specific about it. Bialach writes, if bread is more precious to a person than wine, it's best to make kiddush on bread, and then acquire, for Friday night, and then acquire the needs of the meal. That way he's mekayim 2 mitzvahs. Have kiddush, and also the meal. As opposed to buying wine for kiddush, when he's just going to have bread afterwards and not have delicacies. Bialach is not sure if, in terms of, I think this might be the next thing. Next, yeah. No, he says that maybe when the bread I don't know why he says this, but maybe when Arukh HaShulchan says that Gam Kiddush Yom Kohen L'Sharei Ma'achol Yom Levad Lechem, the Mishnah Berurah says maybe it's bread in Kasa D'Harsana. So bread with a little bit of fish takes precedence to the wine, not just bread itself. Okay, Yud Aleph. Kasa Rabbeinu says to Zif Alec, She'yavo lebeisei Maher Lechol Miyad. When you come home, you should quickly go to eat. And specifically because of Kiddush, right? To do Kiddush as close as possible to the entry of Shabbos. And then automatically eat right away, Mishum Kiddush Makom Suda. Because we're currently doing Kiddush Makom Suda. I feel Kodem Shetachsha, even if it's before nightfall. This is the Taz. The Bir Halacha says, if not for Taz, I would say that the tour doesn't mean that you have to do it immediately. But he says that when the time of the Chiyuv of Kiddush comes, which is after nightfall, when the Ikar Chiyuv is, then you should do it as soon as possible. But not if as soon as possible means daytime. It's interesting, machlekes of the Arukh HaShulchan. Anyway, if you all Kiddush say, if during the Kiddush is during daytime, because somebody eat based on his Kiddush. For Rabbi Yanam B'Zev Sim Reish Tam Zayin, this has already been explained previously. Ayin Shab. Upashu Dim Eina Yochel Adayin Lechol. So obviously, if you can't eat for some reason, you can read several hours into the nighttime. Basically, somebody who wrote Kaddish the Dafka Kodim Malayla to make Kiddush specifically before nightfall. Kibitchilas Leil Shabbos, because the beginning of Leil Shabbos, Mazel Ma'adim, it's the Mazel of Mars, which is dominant. It was Sof Yom Vav Mazel Tzedek. Whereas the end of Friday, it's the Mazel of Saturn. You Kaddish B'Tzedek. You should make the Kiddush during Saturn, or the hour of Saturn. And this is a big thing by Hasidim. By Hasidim, they will not make Kiddush between 6 and 7, because that's what it means. It goes by hours on the clock, not by Shkia and Tzeis. And so therefore, between 6 and 7 Friday night, they won't make Kiddush. They'll make Kiddush either before 6 or after 7, but not between 6 and 7, because of Mazel Ma'adim. And even a white wine, they won't make Kiddush, despite the fact that the Iker issue would be with red wine, red Mars, red wine, but they won't make Kiddush then. But the Arukh HaShulchan goes to town, because Litvak, right? He says, this is astonishing. The Chas V'Sholom Mar Shanachu Tachas HaMazolos. Chas V'Sholom, we're under the constellations. V'adarab, on the contrary, I saw in the ancient sources, Sha'umos HaKadmoinim, that the ancient nations, Hayoshim B'Shabbos B'Choshech, U'Beichin, they would sit on Shabbos in darkness and cry. Because the constellations of Shabbos were negative. Because Baruch Hu Tziva Son Lehefech, Hashem commands the opposite. To light lots of candles. To give ourselves pleasure. To show we're above the constellations. Hashem took us to remove us from the system of astrology. How could this be said? Not say Kiddush any time because of the Shlita of Mars, but Tzarech Iyun Gadol. Totally unclear. Trust God and you'll be surrounded by Chesed. Brings down brackets. Avram Shem Hevi Yusham Rish Brach Shederech Lachol Sholosh Time Belayla. Ein Shem Yusham seems to say beginning of brachas that they would eat an hour or two into the night. Ein Shem Beperesh Charedim. Looking at Perish Charedim was on Yerushalmi brachas. The Shtayim Meim Shtei Chelkei Shah. It's not 2 hours, but 2 parts of an hour. But they can see us. So this world here. It's because their shuls are in the fields, distant from the city. But it took time until they got home. Well, on the contrary, the Tiret Sham B'Yain Kufranaya Ayin Sham Mashin Mitzvah Lechomi Kodim. The where evidently holds that in villages where the shuls were closer, it's a mitzvah to eat closer. It's a mitzvah to eat earlier, as early as possible. Yud Beis. Kim Shigazman Kiddush Dynamid Shechashecha. The time Kiddush comes, which is after dark. I feel, in other words, the Iker's Man Kiddush. I feel low Kibbutz Shabbos tonight. Even if you didn't remember Kibbutz Shabbos, also lechol lishtos. You can't eat or drink. I feel mayim, even water. I feel tiyabam, even a taste. Achi Kaddish until you make Kiddush. Nei cover Shabbos because the honor of Shabbos. The Shabbos kava nafsha. Shabbos has now fixed itself. You mean Makabel Shabbos early? You don't have to be Makabel Shabbos early. But once night falls, that's Shabbos. It fixed itself. Yizman Metan came after Kibbutz Shabbos and then, even though you were Makabel Shabbos, Chovas Kiddush. For us, so come Kluma Chikash, obligation Kiddush is evolved upon you. You can't taste anything until you make Kiddush. But to rinse your mouth, since you don't have in mind to taste anything. V'him Kibbutz Shabbos, but then Kibbutz Shabbos early. Aslo Choblish Los Litam Ad Shikash came Kibbutz Shabbos. You can't eat or drink. Make until you make Kiddush, because you're Makabel Shabbos early. But you can even make Kiddush and eat and drink and then daven Marv later. So this is more than half an hour more until the time Kriyas Marv. Because otherwise now because before you do the mitzvah Kriyas Shema, what's the assuming Reish Lamed Hey. The brackets it says here, you have only a cup of wine, 1 cup of wine. For some reason you want to leave for benching. Kiddush kodem, don't. Kiddush comes first. I feel minus filet birras had mulas and tuna coast. You could have holds the bench requires a cup. Achva gavda b'havdalah ain't okay. Even though by havdalah it's not going to be like that. Mush kosum b'sim reit sadik vav. I feel yochel kaddish ala pas lo yaseken. Even if you have bread to make kiddush, should not do it. A kaddish al yain should make a kiddush on wine, be varch birras and muslim coast and bench without a coast. Especially nowadays, the people are not as makbid on the coast as they were in the good old days.